What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 20 of this Madden 21 Connected Franchise Series. And right now, it is the Offseason video, and we're going to cover a lot of things. First thing we're going to cover is the awards. The 2023 annual awards, and you guys see Patrick Mahomes won the MVP. You guys see some of the guys that ended up winning or were in the race. You guys see Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold. I think those guys had all pro level years. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, both of those guys had great years. Now in this game, and I don't know if this is going to be in the new Madden, they do not have all pros, like all pro teams and all that stuff. They do not have that. And even in Madden 25, they didn't have that. So, which sucks, So here's some of the awards. You guys see it's Troy Dye won the Defensive Player of the Year in the NFC. In the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year, I've already said it's Ben Colvin. He had a great year with the touches that he had. Now, is he going to be the starter heading into next season? That's going to be the question I think everybody wants the answer to. I think there is a chance he could be the starter next year. That is going to be that's going to be a big question. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we had what's the thing I want to say? We will also go over the schedule for the regular season. By the way, by the end of the video, and next episode will be the preseason. We'll do kind of like a few preseason games and stuff like that. Maybe like one or two. You'll see like two preseason games, like at most, and kind of just see highlights and clips of players that kind of sticked out and all that stuff. We'll talk about the cap space situation. Really a lot of what happened kind of this year is kind of, in a way, kind of pushed what happened, in terms of the free agent signings, this season as well. It kind of pushed what happened, with what happened in the free agency period, because we got a lot of key guys that are going to be demanding contracts next season. Well, during the season, guys like Owen Phillips, who you guys saw in week 17, he is a Pro Bowl quarterback, and guys like Orlando Brown, he's a 3-time Pro Bowler. Probably easily was our best offensive lineman on the team, and Will Shelby, he's young, but he's also made 2 Pro Bowls the last 2 seasons. So, there's a lot of discussions and all that stuff. And by the way, how in the world did Tyler Taylor get voted 9th for best kicker in the AFC? To me, he was the best kicker in the league last season. Now, if you want to pick out something that we need to work on, as I talked, and I don't think I talked about it in episode 18, was red zone offense. Red zone offense, we struggled mightily to score. Really throughout the course of the season, it was really bad. Over half the times we scored in the red zone, we kicked field goals. If you want to be considered a great football team and a great offense, that just can't happen. That can't happen. We didn't turn it over a lot in the red zone, which is good, and I think our red zone defense was good. I think if you want to look at anything, a huge thing we need to fix, I would definitely say is our ability to punch in touchdowns when we get into the red zone. We need to improve in that area. And I also will say the turnover ratio, I think it got better throughout the course of the season. But the fact that, we lost the most fumbles in the NFL. Literally the next closest is the Bills, and they had 5. That's not good. And the fact that we were 3rd in the league in giveaways, and the only teams that were ahead of us were the Browns and the Falcons, excuse me. That's not good enough. We were tied with the Cardinals. A lot of those teams that didn't do well in terms of the giveaway department, they didn't make the playoffs, and also they are picking, I think, at least top 12 in the draft. Now, let's talk about what happened in the playoffs. It was the Panthers who moved on, who beat the Bucks. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think, honestly, just Trent Young, I mean, he played well. They probably should have thrown it more. It is Cam Newton in the Washington, let's call them the Commanders, losing to the San Francisco 49ers. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick from Jimmy Garoppolo, and he outplayed Cam Newton. He did. 2 quarterbacks that played for the Patriots met up in San Francisco, and it was Jimmy G that got it done. Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel had fantastic games. Aaron Rodgers, not the greatest game from him, but 212, 1 touchdown and no picks was enough to lead them over the Chicago Bears. And the Chicago Bears, their playoff drought continues. Surprise, surprise, Chicago. And surprise, surprise, as a Ravens fan myself, look what happened. Lamar Jackson folding under the pressure in a playoff game. Many people believe he should have made the Pro Bowl ahead of Owen Phillips. But he didn't show up against Patrick Mahomes. And I definitely would say, Owen can't say that he showed up for his game either. In the divisional round, the Chiefs ended up getting the victory against Josh Allen and the Bills. 34-30, another classic between these two quarterbacks. A solid game from Mahomes, but it was really Clyde Edwards-Helaire and that running game really dominated and showed up and showed out. And I think the Chiefs probably saw what we did against them, not against them, but against the Buffalo Bills, excuse me, and kind of just took part of the game plan and just said, hey, we're going to keep running the football. The Panthers get knocked out by the Green Bay Packers. Christian McCaffrey did all he could. He did all he could. 17 carries for 90 yards. Devontae Adams had a big game. And the Jags had a big game in Cincinnati. And they beat the defending champs, the Cincinnati Bengals. And they will be going to the AFC Championship game. And Joe Burrow, I mean, if you look at the numbers, he didn't play bad. He didn't play bad football. 17-23. 73% completion percentage, over 220 yards passing. It just didn't work out. And the 49ers lose to the Giants, and the Giants are going to be going to the Super Bowl. Well, not to the Super Bowl. I just spoiled it by accident. Yes, now they're going to the Super Bowl. And it's crazy to me that we played against this team in week 6. And we beat them. And I think for the most part, our defense dominated this offense. And the fact that we played as well as we did, shows that, we might actually have a team that, that could be competing for something special in the future, And I think a shocker here was the Jags taking on the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes against Darnold, and Patrick Mahomes falls to Sam Darnold, and really Mahomes played better. And the Jags are the ones going on to the Super Bowl, but they lost. They lost 28-21 in the Super Bowl, and the New York Giants are now the Super Bowl champions. Saquon Barkley got a ring. He had a big game, in the Super Bowl. 20 carries for 105 and a touchdown. Probably could have gave him the football more. So they're the Super Bowl champions, and Aaron Rodgers is gonna retire off a championship game loss in MetLife Stadium. Tom Brady finally retires, so a lot of the greats are now done playing. Now let's talk about the roster construction. The roster that we have out there constructed. Let's talk about it a little bit. Now, a guy that I did not decide to bring back is Trey Flowers. Now, like I said, we have some guys that we decided to bring back, like James Morgan and Braden Mann. Those guys are coming back. I think those were pretty easy. But Owen Phillips is going to be wanting, let's say, about $30+ million. That apparently my PS4 kept just waking up for some reason. But I was about to say, Owen is going to be wanting about $30 million a season. Maybe a little bit less than that, because usually guys who are 90 and above are going to be the ones that are going to be pushing that $30-40 million range. Maybe he asked for a little bit less money. I don't know. But there's a bunch of other guys that are going to be on 1 year left on their deals. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see who we bring back, who we keep. But also it's going to be interesting to see, you know, this team, you know, with this free agency, you know, because they need money left over. Because I think obviously they want to keep Owen, but obviously they want to keep some of these other guys. Probably they want to keep Orlando Brown, right? And they probably want to keep Will Shelby, right? And I think, in my opinion, that's one of the defensive players that you probably most definitely want to keep. You want to keep him on the roster, right? Now, no more CJ Mosley. He's now on the team, right? And, you know, Jonathan Allen, he has 1 more year left, and I think this might be his last year on the team. I'm not sure. And then also in a couple years, you're going to have to pay Kevin Mobley and Matthew Foster. And also you're going to have to play Tyler Taylor next season. And if he has another great season, it's going to be hard not to pay him. Now, these are the guys that we decided to bring in. Like I said, I want to make sure we have money left for this upcoming re-signing period, just in case if we need to re-sign our guys, and hopefully still have money left over to you know, build up a team. Because I think this team, you know, even if we add some additions, if we make the right moves, I think we can be a Super Bowl winning team. You know, but we still got a lot of work to do. And I don't know if we're just one guy away. I don't think so. Even though we should have won against Buffalo, I don't think we're one guy away. You know, I don't know if we could have competed against Kansas City. You know, I don't know. You know, Trey Flowers, he stays in New York, but he's playing for the team in blue and white instead of green and white. Michael Pittman goes to Kansas City, so that's the free agent class. Our first round pick was Clifton Bayer, kind of now being the second middle linebacker on this team. 23 years old from Texas. He's a hidden development player, you know. And we'll take a look at the draft class as you know, as we're nearing the end. Dude, I can't talk today. I'm sorry. We are already halfway done with this video. Kerry Rudd was the number 1 player in this draft at 79 overall. He was only a normal depth player. This was actually the center I wanted to draft, you know. And the reason why I wanted to draft him at the center position, because Noah Lockhart, if you guys have paid attention in the games that you know, I played and stuff like that, you guys could tell Noah Lockhart has had a hard time and had a very tough time staying on the field, you know. And his contract season is up, and if he can't stay on the field this season, it's going to be very hard for me to just say, hey, let's just pay him, give him another contract and stuff like that. Even though I think when our offensive line has been healthy, which, by the way, I think really from week 2 and on, you know, it was a rarity that this offensive line was fully healthy. It was just a straight rarity that this group was healthy. Now, we have Alec Watkins. We drafted him at the punter. You know, but I think it was a decent overall draft class. You know, it was decent. That's what I would say is decent. Now this is the Patriots draft class. You know, I'm surprised they didn't pick a quarterback. You know, we'll probably go over that a little bit more in the preseason video. You know, this is kind of like the first round picks. I did want to pick Jose Herrera just in case if we lose Christopher Herndon in the fourth. And I think, in my opinion, he should get a sizable payday. Now, the guy that I was gonna think about select instead of Bayer was this guy, Dalton Bell. And I think I'm glad I picked the guy that I picked. But he's not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. He's not. The running back that I wanted to select, in case we traded Ronald Jones, was this guy. He's a power back with 91 speed. With 91 speed, 90 carrying, 84 trucking. That is lethal combinations. Now for the regular season schedule, we're gonna open up Monday night against the Buffalo Bills, 4:15 at home against the Rams. Then we're gonna be on the road against the Seahawks. Then after that, we got 3 straight at home, 2 games in prime time against the Steelers and Pats, and then at home against the Titans. Then we get the Raiders on Monday Night Football. And then week 8 is the bye. Then we come off the bye, week 9 against the Colts. And then we're going to face our former OC against the Jaguars, which is going to be also in a 3-game homestand where we play also the Dolphins and Cardinals. Then we are going to be on the road in week 13 and 14 against the Dolphins and Texans. Then our home finale will be against the Bills. And then we'll end the year against the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Then at 1 o'clock against the Patriots. Honestly, I think it's a good schedule. I think one thing I do hope EA puts in Madden 26, which I don't know if I actually will get the game. I definitely won't get it early, just so you guys know. I hope they make just like in college football, make movable schedules. I want schedules to be able to get moved and all that stuff. I want schedules to, you can actually make your own schedule on the fly. Reason why I say that, because there's just too many times I see, and for too many years now, where teams open up the season 3 straight games at home or on the road, or 4 straight games at home or on the road, throughout certain points of the season with no bye in between that. There's just too many times I see that in Madden, and I've seen it for so many years. And it's just little details where I know certain guys that have big platforms have asked, for it to get fixed. Now you guys are seeing the guys that need to get re-signed. But about that whole thing, with the schedules, I know people have asked for it to get fixed. They still haven't fixed it. I really am hoping they end up fixing that type of stuff. But, anywho, enough of me ranting. But you guys see, some of these guys that need to get re-signed, but I can already tell you some of these guys most likely won't come back. They just won't. Now, we did sign Mr. Steele to a new contract, to a kind of a preseason contract, a training camp invite, type of contract, We'll see who ends up making the team. Now, Will Shelby, I did not know this. He actually got upgraded to superstar. But like I said, the last 2 years have been Pro Bowl selection seasons for Will Shelby. A third-year man from Florida. He's only 24 years old. In my opinion, I think it's a no-brainer at this point. And I think he's going to garnish a lot more money than some of these other safeties that, are 84 overall or 84 to 86-ish. I think he's going to garnish a lot more money than some of those other guys. And by the way, this upcoming season, we will have Takk McKinley back, right? So it's going to be interesting. But also, this is Takk McKinley's contract year. I don't think we'll bring him back. So it's going to be interesting to see how this season will play out for us. But hopefully, we can get back to the postseason, and maybe even make it further. We'll see what happens, man. I hope you guys liked the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.